For time now, 7:52. I'm Robert Burton.
And I'm Jordan Duvall. And this is Off the Record.
No, for real, this is Off the Record.
Hold on, is this an intervention? I really told them about this like an hour ago, so.
Y'all never spend time with me. You always on that computer.
With long-distance relationships, honestly, it's all work, no play, no fun. So
You know, when the honeymoon phase starts wearing off and you start realizing that you have different communication styles.
I found out that I was gonna have some fertility issues when I was in Philly.
I want to have a baby. Like, why don't you want to have a baby with me? I'm like,
No, not that story. This girl would have me out till 6 in the morning. I'm not lying. I was sleep talking at iHop. That was peer pressure though, and I would come home to Robert like, just gonna kill me.
This is the first time we've heard this story.
welcome to the group chat, JR and Mona.
I was pretty good.
It was decent.
You know.
Yeah, we can run it from the top.
Haters.
Big haters, because we kept getting comments asking for you guys. So y'all are highly anticipated.
Hey.
Yes. So we had to make sure that after our last guest dropped out, we called them. We called them on the emergency.
I literally told them about this like an hour ago, so I'm kidding. So welcome to the group chat. We're happy to have y'all.
Thanks for having us. We're glad to be here.
It's only right that we have y'all on because they've played such a, seriously, they've
are
played such an important role behind the scenes.
We love you.
Yeah.
You are smart. You are beautiful.
First time I've heard that all year.
Because instead it's like emergencies and fires are putting out.
Do this.
There you go. But no, you guys have been very instrumental in helping us launch this podcast. So we appreciate you. The appreciation is big. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's been it's funny. So we've mentioned before that Mona and I have been working on this podcast on and off for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
But we really, really started investing time and effort and money. And whisper the money.
A lot of time. Yeah.
But it ended up involving you guys in many ways, from you taking care of Bella when I had to leave town and Jordan being our top
Shout out to Jordan.
lawyer. What is it?
Shout out to Jordan.
Our in-house attorney.
Official legal. Yeah.
But you know what's funny? No, the funniest moment has to be like something happened and JR turns to Jordan and goes, so legally speaking, what do we do? Where are we at right now? And that was honestly one of the funniest moments. She was so dead serious.
Oh, you talking about when you guys were filming that video?
When the thing happened and the other thing happened.
Something happened, and with sweat, like beads of sweat coming down my forehead, I was like, Jordan, legally, what are?
And actually had the answer.
Yes.
So help out with this and kind of be included, if you will. I'm not drawing up contracts like Jordan, but I'm doing my part, and it's an honor and a blessing to be a part of it. So.
Cut. We need more enthusiasm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, more
okay.
emotion. You should have
Absolutely.
cried a little.
Oh, okay.
I should
All
have
right.
here.
So wait, if y'all want to turn the cameras off, I can fake cry and then bring it back.
No, we appreciate you guys, and I think at one point I was like, I know Robert hates to see my call come in.
No.
Damn.
I get it, because I get it. I know Jordan gets it too. Like, we get it, man. We
Yeah.
understand how big this is. So
Yeah, this was honestly best case scenario, even just like our friendship and how everything has developed, because when you said 5 years ago, Jordan wasn't in the picture. When we first brought up this idea of Off the Record, remember, like, I was living in DC, and it wasn't until I moved to New York. Well, shout out New York, because we met in New York, and it's interesting to see, obviously, like, the transitions in our lives and to see how everything unfolded. I want to actually get into how we all, like, became friends.
Oh, wait, and I have a crazy story, actually.
Do you?
Yeah, so I remember this is when I started doing therapy right before I started as an attorney. And I remember telling my therapist, like, I saw this video, and I'm like, wow, look at this beautiful black couple in this nice house, and it was you two. And I was like, man, I wish I could have something like that. And then fast forward, and then I met Mona, and then she's like, oh, here are my friends. I'm like, and I remember first time coming to your apartment, I'm like, whoa.
Oh my
wow. This is the first time we've heard this story. We never heard this story.
I remember that, and he was just like, wait a second. He was like, I literally just saw their video not that long ago.
Oh my God.
And honestly, it was a pretty big deal when finally, like, I believe it was like our first trip together.
Mhm.
We went to DC
Yeah.
and I was introducing him to you guys. And I was like, all right, this has to work because clearly like after that, then I gotta send him packing if it doesn't work. Cause
Yeah.
what do they say? You gotta get with my friends. So we went over to your place. This is when you were still living in
It's DC,
the apartment
like
in
DC
DC.
proper.
Yeah, the apartment in DC. And we were like, okay. Jeannette was like, okay, he's cool. Yeah, that's fine. And I was like, all right, but he has to get along with Robert because then what are we going to do, right? We got to do the double dates and whatnot. And we were all getting ready for dinner. And so we get in the room because I was helping you get ready.
Yeah.
And we're just like, I wonder how it's going. We were so awkward, by the way. Like,
Like
we're
two
like,
moms.
yeah, we're just
kids.
Right,
Yeah,
like
no,
you on a play date or something.
I was,
How they doing, girl?
for real, like we were in the room and we're just like, okay, we should peek out and see how it's going. And we stick our heads out, and you guys were like, yeah, like when he passed the ball, and then the
we were like,
3-point shot.
I don't know what that means, but I think that's good.
Wow.
I think they're getting
We would have
along.
never known that. We would have never known that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we did feel like our kids on a play date. And we're getting along. And then we went to dinner, and it was all good. And then we became friends.
Yeah,
Well, remember though,
yeah.
after when we got back from dinner, I think we were over there till like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning.
I remember that.
Remember
Yep.
the
Yeah, I remember
shenanigans?
that.
Because it was before Bella.
It sure
was pre-Bella.
Because
It was
Bella would have
pre-Bella.
said, it's 11 o'clock. Y'all gotta go.
Yep.
You ain't gotta go home.
But you gotta get the heck up out of here, okay?
Wrap it up.
Yeah.
Those were the days though, because we would end up going out and then come back and just chat till like 3, 4 in the
No.
morning.
That made me want to move to DC.
Yeah. First, I need to know because it has been some months now. Congratulations, Robert.
Oh, thank you.
You did your own little pivot.
I did. I followed suit, man.
Yeah.
You know, I jumped on the train, and but I think it's the best decision that I've ever made, man. I just more time at home, more time with JR. Bella,
Yeah.
that's big, man. I pick her up and take her to school.
He like does her hair in the morning.
I do Bella's hair, y'all.
I love that.
I do
can't
Bella's
wait to do
hair. Y'all saying, oh.
No, at first,
that's
it was so
that's a
funny
challenge.
because at first you could tell like so like some days I'm able to like sleep in and he'll take her to school.
Uh-huh.
And then when she comes back, I'm like, oh, clearly Robert's
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could tell
Not
who,
Bella.
depending on what her hair looked like. Oh, okay, Daddy Daddy did your hair.
But now you can't really tell, so it's great.
Do you put beads in it? Like, what are we talking
No,
about?
I'm not that
Yeah.
advanced yet. It's just
She looks presentable.
Yeah, she's presentable. You know, grease down, 2 ponytails,
There you go.
and that's
You
it.
said grease down. Little
Grease
shea
down,
moisture.
You know what I'm saying? A part in the middle.
Yeah.
And yeah, she goes to school.
Yeah, but it's been it's funny because it's been a totally different life compared to 5 years ago. We were long distance. I was in Philly. He was in DC for 4.5 years. And I would come down every weekend. We were opposite days off and opposite schedules on the days off. So
That
I
was
would go
rough.
in at 3 in the morning. He would go in at 3 in the afternoon. So every time we saw each other, one of us was exhausted and heading to
This
work.
is in DC.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so after 4.5 years apart.
Well, no. While we were apart.
No, this
Yeah,
is
during
this
the
is
long
DC
haul.
Right.
Philly.
Oh, okay.
So on
Yeah.
top of being physically apart, when we were like our schedules were also just not the most
Yeah, it
conducive.
was the worst thing ever. Like worst possible situation. You know?
Yes.
Don't recommend.
2 out of 10 don't recommend.
Yeah.
But if what's keeping you apart is a good job, then look at
Yay, right?
So that was a very questionable yay.
Yeah.
Nah,
Okay.
I don't like that job. Nah.
Jordan made it very clear from the beginning. He
I don't do
said,
long
I don't do
distance.
long distance.
Yeah.
Like, because my thing is,
Yeah.
okay, so obviously I'm first gen, and like all of my family has been apart, right? Because the man goes to work in some country and then
Right.
sends money back home, right?
Right,
So a lot of my uncles like worked in the Middle East. Their family was in London. Their family was back home. Like, so I'm used to long distance relationships. Like my dad lived in the Middle East and we were in San Diego, and it was just normal because it's like you got to do what you got to
Right.
do. So I think I threw out. I was like, yeah, maybe like if a job comes up in LA, and he was like, absolutely not.
Absolutely.
Also, this was a delusion
Yeah.
because the time we actually were apart, because she was in LA, For 2 weeks, she was going crazy. If I didn't call her and text her every 5 seconds and give her all the love and attention you could ever think of, she's like, you don't like me anymore. And then me, and for me, I feel like,
that.
no, but I feel like with long distance relationships, honestly, it's all work, no play, no fun. So you still have the arguments, you still have the stress, and all you do is talk on the phone. You don't see each other, you're
Without
not
the
intimate, you
quality
don't touch
time.
each other, you don't go on dates. It's all work, no play.
It's so funny because I'm very cognizant of how Philly got me to where I am, and yet if I were to do it again,
Yeah, would you?
I don't know that I would. Like there a lot of things in our relationship went just unattended, not tended to, and festered over that time because you just don't see the shift happening day to day because you're just not there. And when you see each other, you're just trying to get in the quality time.
Yeah.
You're trying to stay awake.
It's a rush job. Yeah.
So I feel, I'll put it this way. If I were to do it again, I would have been much better equipped. We would have been much more proactive with like marital counseling, the way we were communicating, that type of thing.
Which is something that we should have done from the jump.
Yeah.
Was counseling.
Yeah.
I will. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, I was going to say, I will say that was one thing. And again, like you guys were a lot younger when you guys met.
Yeah.
And so I don't fault you for that at all. For us, it was like we both did individual therapy. And then we met when we were 29. So then we're like, listen, like I think it was a year into it. I was like, you know, when the honeymoon phase starts wearing off and you start realizing that you have different communication styles, I was like, okay, maybe we should go to a therapist so that we don't have to deal with it later. We can learn how to communicate very early on. And that was honestly one of the best things we did.
Oh
Yeah.
my God,
Yeah.
game changer.
Shout out to you because that was your idea. And the thing about me is you give me an idea, I'll execute. So I thought it just made sense for us to use my therapist we use already. She's a Black woman. She's very practical. She listens. I know Mona really needs to be heard. So I'm like, this will work. Mona was skeptical at first because she's like, she's going to be like on your side. And, you know, and basically scared that I would fix the game. It'd be rigged.
Imagine you paying her extra on the side.
Say this.
It's like, you need to hear Jordan. Wait a second.
But no, it worked out. I mean, we went for a while, and I think sometimes we would go every other week, sometimes every week. And then I think now it's just crazy because analogy I like to use all the time is once you start to really build a foundation, you work your way up, you get so high, and then you look down, you're like, wow, came far. And I feel like we've come very far, and we stand on a very solid foundation, and therapy was huge in that because I feel like our communication is excellent now. And even something I think I could tell people I think that's important is understand what feelings are and how they're supposed to function in your relationship. So I think for me, I used to take offense to if she said she felt some way. But it's like, no, everyone feels what they feel. You're entitled to feel what you feel. But then I learned through therapy and through Mona that that's exactly it. Let the feelings lie, let them be what they are, and that's it. And then the person feels heard, and then you move on.
I love that. Yeah, like feelings in and of themselves aren't like a personal attack.
Not at all.
Yeah. But I do want to know, I mean, now that I was going to say it's been months, you guys get all the time together now. So what is it like navigating, working at home and then navigating just your space and having all this time together?
Well, I mean, for the most part, as we mentioned, it's a lot of phone calls with you. It's you're
Me being the third person in the relationship.
I hear Mona's voice in my house a lot. Like, and she has you on speaker too, so you echo through the house.
Y'all know I got bass in my voice.
Even when you all get off tangent and start laughing and stuff, like I hear Mona's laughing.
He was like, you think Mona's really funny, huh?
No, I said Mona be cracking you up. That's what I said. I was like, because last night we were at dinner and
Oh my God.
she said like 3 things that you said and it was cracking up. And it was funny. And I was like, but man,
It's funny.
it was funny. No, but it's a lot of, and we were talking about, it's a lot of time put in this podcast.
Yeah.
And also the new career that we have with brand deals and stuff like that. So
It's funny because we were talking about it after I finished laughing at your joke at dinner. We were talking about how interesting it is because before, when I was in Philly and he was here, we had a lot of quality time. Now we have a lot of quantity time, not necessarily quality. Because I think we were just much more intentional when we were long distance about making sure that we were, going out on dates, that we were blocking out work and any other distractions and really made the most of the limited time, the 48 hours basically that we had together every week. Whereas now, one, we're working from home, so there's always this feeling of we'll get to us in a bit. We have all day, and then when you're your own boss,
that's different.
It's not a set schedule.
It's
like
not a set
9 to
schedule.
5, and then after that, it's Robert time. Like,
and then you love your job. So it's easy to get sucked into a really, really long day of just working on your business. But what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say when we both worked morning shifts as anchors, it was also easier to have quality time because you had that set schedule.
Exactly.
But no, it'll be days where JR is up in the morning and she goes nonstop moan. I'm sure you have your days like that too.
Yeah.
When it comes to this podcast, and the one thing we do in that day is probably watch a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I have to work on not sneaking in.
it's not sneaking.
Boy.
Yeah.
I snap on
absolutely.
Today he was like, can we not? And I was like,
Right.
sorry.
But I get it. I'm not sitting back bitter you don't never spend time. I'm never doing that.
How is it?
You don't never spend time with me. You always on that computer. So I moan at. Could you imagine if that was me?
But I think it's still something because that kind of supportive attitude is easy for me to take advantage of, right? Because then you get back to okay, he's understanding. I'll just get to it in a second. So I have to be, and I've told him this, I don't want to look back years from now and have all of this success in business and we barely know each other, right? So I want to be cognizant of not taking advantage of how supportive you've been all this time.
Oh, real quick. There are times, though, when I do say, you need to relax.
Why did you say?
Time out. No, I just want to make that clear. It's I don't think it's okay to just be working, like 6 a.m. to 6 a.m.
Yeah.
It's
and
chill.
they'll do that.
I will say, Jordan had
absolutely.
Hold on, is this an intervention?
So I wanted to talk to you guys today about.
That's why we had you on our podcast, and we have an audience.
I'm good. Okay. But I will say, Jordan made a good point because we are busier now than we've ever been, and it's funny because I feel like I worked crazy schedule. I've had crazy schedules and
early morning, overnights.
Yeah.
ABC correspondent.
Yeah.
That schedule.
Oh my gosh, that correspondent schedule was crazy. But in the overnight, where it was he's coming in and I'm leaving. Okay, thank you. Food is dinner's in the fridge. But you made a good point because now we're both I'm doing the podcast. He has his real estate business. Obviously, you're a full-time attorney, and I still work. I'm a full-time correspondent as well, and we just realized that there is no time, right, to really sit down and invest in the relationship. But you framed it differently. I'll let you tell it because it made me feel a lot better about the situation.
Yeah, I think where people can go wrong is where they frame it as, we're not investing in a relationship. A relationship is more than just the romantic part of it. So there's a family part of it, there's a financial part of it, there's a friend part of it, there's a confidant part of it, then there's a romantic part of it. So just because in this phase we may not have the time to be romantic and going on date night all the time, last time I checked, we're trying to buy a house, we're trying to be financially stable, and we're trying to work hard now so then 5 years we can chill and raise our children. So I think you don't take for granted the hard work that we're putting in and what we're trying to accomplish by just sitting back and saying, well, we're not romantic enough. We don't go on dates enough.
Yep.
But with that being said, we do go on dates. I think maybe a month and a half ago, we went on quite a few dates, and it was a good time period for that. At the end of the day, you're trying to build something, I'm trying to build something, and then we're trying to build something. So it takes a huge investment in that. And I think that's still investment in the relationship because it's not like we're doing this so then we can part ways and go do our own thing. No, this is so we can spend more time at home like they are with our children and have a nice, beautiful home, right?
There's a Tyler Perry movie when the man left after all the building was happening. So you ain't going nowhere. Imagine.
Oh my gosh, I know.
I'd be like, Jeannette.
You could just,
get
you
the
might as well
gasoline.
come over.
And
Really got a groove bag, burn all my clothes, burn the car.
throw it in the pool.
Waiting to exhale.
That's
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
record that. We'll recreate the scene. Hit the card.
walking out.
And y'all gonna have the little pajama set on when she was walking back from the burning car.
Sponsored by Fenty. What is it? Savage X.
Savage X. No. You get savage. But no, I'm just kidding.
So speaking of kind of working towards something, because Mona and I have worked for years toward like the season that we're in now, especially with her leaving ABC.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious how that was for you when she decided she wanted to take that leap and bet on herself.
I think once the decision was made, it was amazing. It was like exhaling, honestly. I think before that, it was really scary for her. And she wasn't quite sure what she wanted to do. But I think before she left, she was not feeling good where she was at. And then for me, I'm like, hey, look, I have a stable job. I'm going to be fine. Listen, my dad worked at UPS for 30 years. Before that, when I was like barely born, he had 3 jobs. All that man does is work. So I'm going to work. So I don't care. So I'll work to death and you'll be fine regardless. So I want you to do what you think will make you happy and also what can further you in your career. And I feel like she felt like ABC was a little stuffy for her, you know, and she wanted to do more entertainment and bring out her big personality. We all love her personality. So it all made sense. And I was happy. But I think before that, it was really tough. I think that was probably one of the toughest times for us, not as a couple, but literally just existing in that space to where she didn't know what to do. She had an anxiety. And the thing was, too, it was a time pressure, too. This was not like something we knew about a year in advance. It was more so things started to change. And then just before her contract was up, there were some issues. And she's like, all right, well, I'm either going to take this leap or I'm going to stay here and hopefully this ship doesn't sink and I'm dead with the Titanic. But then once she made a decision, it was amazing. And she switched over, had way more time. Now she gets to show her personality. She gets to do more things online. I mean, it's just been an incredible move. But leading up to it, it was scary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I will say, like, I got to give it to him because he wasn't trying to force me to make a decision or make a decision for me. And so he would just be like, it's a pro and con list, right? Like, where does it stand? Like, between the 2 decisions that you're making, what are the advantages? What are the disadvantages? And I think he also made me realize, like, the toll that it was taking on me. And so it was really nice to have him as like a springboard. I know you were tired of hearing. He was all up in the, when he was like, what did Lucy do today? What is Lucy talking about? Like, there were certain people that were a staple in the household.
Yeah.
They were characters.
Yeah.
No,
Mona had a voodoo doll.
Yeah. No, but no, it was just nice to be able to like, he didn't get exhausted, even though I'm like, I need to let this out.
Yeah.
So, and to have someone that you can trust their judgment, you know that they're not doing this just to like shut you up or make it convenient for them. That was huge.
Yeah. Absolutely.
What about you guys? I mean, like both of y'all walked away. I know there's a lot of conversations that went on.
Yeah. Well, honestly, I wasn't too worried about it. I looked at it.
Us in general, about
you leaving.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that is what we're talking about right now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I wasn't nervous about you leaving at all.
I thought you meant both of us walking away, but yeah.
Oh no, I'm talking about you.
Uh-huh.
And the way I saw it was, I looked at it as, well, I saw the type of deals that she could have been getting.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of money. And I was like, okay. And like I told you guys before, I always knew she was going to be more than TV news.
Mm-hmm.
She even had the opportunity to have a network TV show. And at the end of the day, I was like, well, if this doesn't work out, she's still Jeannette Reyes. You know?
You can go back.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, okay, that sounds good to me. Maybe I can join
Retire
you.
me.
Baby, go get that money, girl. And then I can quit his job.
Yeah, that's kind of how I looked at it. And I wasn't nervous about it. And we both had the skill of, if it doesn't work out,
something to fall back.
We can go back.
Yeah.
And I just, and I know it's kind of lackluster, but that's just how I felt about it.
I think it's because we
Oh,
had...
wait. And I don't mean to cut you off, but I knew that she wasn't going to allow this to fail either.
Yeah.
That's just her.
These two don't let anything fail.
Yeah, that's from where she comes from.
Immigrant trauma.
Yeah. Her entire life has been about not failing.
You know what it is?
Can't fail.
First Jen.
That's probably what it is.
Drama.
That's probably
No,
what
I'm
it is.
literally trauma bond.
But no, but like it's honestly crazy because you have been like I feel like both of us have been that person in the group project where we're like, we'll just do it ourselves.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Oh, yeah.
And to see that you're like that, but like I've never had a project partner that I've worked better with.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like anytime I'm like, oh, I don't want to, she's like, so we're about to do this again. And I'm like, okay, I got this. Because I won't let you down. And then the same way where you're like,
Yeah.
maybe we just don't. And I'm like,
Yeah. No, it's so true. I was telling, I was talking to my mom the other day because we had realized all throughout this project, and there were stressful moments. I mean, just exhaustion, you busy with your job, traveling, me with Bella, and just life. And then we had to push back the launch a few months because things were not looking good. And not once did you and I, and having an argument isn't a bad thing,
right.
No.
but we never really bumped heads. We were always on the same page. And I think there was this trust that if you weren't hearing from me for a few days, you knew that it was because I was busy with something as opposed to Jeannette's just gonna slack off and vice versa. And I think that trust goes a long way and makes for a good working relationship. And then, sprinkle a little trauma and you're good to go.
There is a country that is depending on you. People came all the way to America. You just gonna fail?
Yeah.
But I will say too, I think the reason why our story, like the months leading up to the big decision, isn't so dramatic is because so many of the moves that I made in terms of the jobs that I took and the positions that I took were like, I was very big on, I need to have a side hustle or an option. I call it like an F this option. Like if y'all really start to tick me off, I need to be able to walk away with my
You
dignity.
got me messed
Right?
up.
Exactly. And so from my job in DC to Philly to back to DC, I was cultivating my own brand and social media just in case. In my mind, ideally, I would never have to walk away. But ultimately, it ended up being the best option. So it was a matter of, do we want to turn on this switch, like flip the switch or not? And it was great. You walking away, though, so soon was not the plan.
Well, it was.
I know you were bitter. 2:30 in the morning when you see her sleeping.
I would have left earlier, boy.
Well, I think I kind of had it in the back of my mind. I was like, you know what? At any day now, I'm gonna be there. No, but I'll say this: my dad was a business owner, and he was able to create his own schedule and be with his family whenever he wanted to when I was growing up. So I kind of always had that instinct, if you will.
Yeah.
And I remember when there was a time where I was trying to invest in a lot of other things myself, man. Like crypto when it first came out. There were like little startups that I was interested in, that I was trying to invest in, and just to kind of see what else is out there.
Freedom.
And I say that freedom. And I say that because I always wanted to have that.
Exactly. Yeah. That, and you saw the news business and how things are going.
That too.
And you just got to come up with a backup plan. If I was an attorney, I probably would have been good, right?
Yeah, man,
They're always going to need an attorney.
Yep, we need job. Yeah, but I didn't know if I was going to get into it too, but I also saw how the news business was going.
The 180. So when I first left, he was like, listen, no, I just got to, I'm going to hold this down. I'm going to keep this job. One of us should have a traditional job.
Well, no,
and then he thought,
at first, I was like,
the first week.
Somebody got
and the alarm started ringing.
Right.
Like,
and then things changed, and suddenly it was just like, he was like, hey, what do you think about me walking away?
Yeah.
I love that.
This was after you had brought in a lot of money.
Yeah.
And it wasn't slowing down. And I was like, okay, well, I make funny videos too.
I'm kind of funny.
Maybe
I could do a little something.
Well, I'll tell you, one thing Jordan gonna do is come up with a retirement plan. Like, that was the one thing. You were already like, I'm gonna work for this long, and then I'm gonna make sure that, like, I retire and I spend time with my kids. That was a big thing. And my thing was to work until forever. Because that's all I know how to do is like work. And so he was like, yeah, no, this is not gonna happen. And so it got me thinking like, okay, like how could we kind of wrap this up? Or at least make your own schedule so that if you need to take a year off to have kids, because we eventually want to have kids. So it's like, how can you be more flexible? How can you spend more time? Because you don't want them kids in therapy blaming you.
Yeah.
Because Because you weren't ever home.
Listen, my
I know
sole
these are
goal
therapy.
is for Bella not to go to therapy talking about me.
Yeah, right? They were never
Let it
there.
be someone else.
They were there too much. They needed to back up a little
They
bit.
need a dog.
This was not a working household.
Oh my God.
I would just see them doing TikTok.
Right. Just one big content house.
Going back to videos, she was little. She in the videos. They made me do content.
Not the child
She's
star.
gonna be on surviving TikTok.
Y'all crazy on Hulu.
But okay, wait. Is she gonna be a nepo baby? What are we talking about?
Listen,
I hope so.
we are, well, to an extent. She's
Okay.
got to know the value of work. She's
Yeah.
got to earn it. But to an extent, right?
Okay.
'Cause we can't have
right.
Bella out
See.
here, like, you know.
Right.
Wait, so did you know when you wanted to have Bella? Like, what was that process and planning like?
Well, that was depending on when you got back from
Philly.
Philly.
Okay.
That was
Yeah.
the big thing.
Yeah, so we had her a year after I came back. No, I got pregnant a year after I came back from Philly. And I think it was because we knew. So I found out that I was going to have some fertility issues when I was in Philly. So we wanted to give ourselves some time just in case it took longer than usual. And then a
Right.
year after I got back from Philly in 2021,
Yeah.
I started doing fertility treatments. We had one failed one, and then it had success
Yeah, that was
in the fall.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's interesting because when you are starting early just in case,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
you're just like, you know, if I have her at 32, cool. If it ends up being 36. So that's kind of how we planned the window, essentially, is how we
Okay.
planned it. And I
Yeah.
think it worked out well. I do not recommend having a baby and buying a house at the same time. Like, they're both a little expensive.
A lot of life changes all at once.
No, that was on
Yeah, no,
the-
I was pregnant doing fertility treatments, and we moved 3 months after because we bought the house from scratch. So we were dealing with picking
Yeah,
out all
yeah.
the things.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I don't like him because I'm going through like
Right,
morning
right.
sickness and nausea.
Ugh.
The
Yeah.
way this man, that was the darkest period of our time.
Oh.
The
Yeah,
first
yeah.
3 months, that morning sickness is no joke.
That's awful.
That was rough. But then we found
Then we found we were good with
The
the
I
magic.
don't wanna
The
get-
magic
pill.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
a
Yes,
magic pill
for the morning sickness.
that
So what about
saved me. Thank you, God. Thank you, God.
what about you guys? Like, what goes into planning family?
Well, I
planning?
got to start with your advice. So
Uh-oh.
we're in the process of trying to find and buy a house now. So Mona's funny because, and she'll tell you like, I always want to be a parent, you know, and I always want to have kids. But then I've been around so many kids that I know there's a place and time, and also saw my parents had us early, didn't have anything established. I'm like, no, I'll make sure I have the right job and I have the right time and I'll raise my kids. So, you know, Mona, she's more been like, work, right? And then, so we're, you know, in the process of buying the house. She comes home, why don't we just have a baby? I'm like, well,
Ooh.
hey, that's you know, that's a lot of money, and we're about to buy a house. No, but I want to have a baby. Like, why don't you want to have a baby with me? I'm like,
No, not that story. I was feeling some type of way.
yeah. No, but then, I mean, to be fair though, then I talked to my therapist, and she's like, just let her have this space to talk about it. She's feeling these funds. That's good. Hey, she wants to have a baby. You always wanted to have one. I'm like, oh, that's smart. Okay.
How much did you cash out the therapist?
Right.
200. She's expensive. Oh my God.
But yeah,
I had a counter what he was paying.
and I don't know if y'all see his housing prices in New York and Jersey.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like you
Crazy.
said, we're not doing those at the same time.
Yeah.
Listen.
Yeah.
No, I will say that like a lot of decision making goes into it. I think like they don't tell you like in your 30s you go through a lot of emotions, and so in the beginning I was like, oh no, I'm a teen pregnancy. Like that's a
Yeah.
that's a lot, right? And so then the more I started thinking about it, and then also like my interest changed. Like I didn't want to go out as much as I used to.
This girl would have me out till 6 in the morning. I'm not lying. And I was, on one occasion, I was sleep talking at iHop. This was me trying to hang. I think there's video.
That was your 30th.
That better
30,
stay
do you
in the-
remember
That
we
was
were
your
at the
30th.
IHop? Do you
Yeah.
remember?
That was peer pressure, though, and I would come home to Robert like, she's gonna kill me.
I just-
Yeah, I remember that night.
But yeah, so now it's good. I've like domesticated her.
Look at the tables have turned.
Uh-huh.
No, because I think it was like 2 weekends ago, and you were like, "So we're going out," and I'm like, "How do I tell her?"
That is true.
I can't feel my left foot right now. I'm so tired. But yeah, no, like my interests change, and then I also do think that like these big cities get lonely. Like my mom goes back and forth between DC and abroad. My sister lives in DC. Like we don't really have that, like I have my cousin here and that's it. And so it makes you think that like, start your own family and more people can come. And that's the reason why we want a house too. And then I'll like pass by the cutest baby in the world. Or I'll see a picture of Bella and I'll be like, you know what? We should have a baby. To divert his plans.
I will say, and like we noticed this, Jordan's great with Bella. Like you can tell when someone is just like they can tolerate kids, or it'll grow on them.
Yeah.
But like with Jordan, you're gonna be all set. Like y'all will have a
y'all
head
gonna
start.
be good, man.
And I always say like having a partner that's willing to, because Robert and I were brand new to kids. I'm the youngest, so like.
Well, and you wanted a
you
dog.
too,
girl.
We were not used to.
Yeah.
He always gets on me. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt
Yeah,
you,
it's
but
fine.
like he always gets on me because I'll be like, this kid, she was about 8 years old. He's like, she was 13. And I'm like, really? Or I'll be like, this toddler. And he's like, that's a grown child. Like, really? So I have no idea. Like,
Yeah, Mona changed her first diaper, I think, last Thanksgiving.
It was.
She didn't even know really how to hold
Did
the
you
baby.
get
How'd
pictures
it
to
go?
frame it?
Yeah.
No, I literally have a video.
Now, was this a doo-doo diaper or was this a...
no.
Oh,
I would have
See, look
aborted.
at her already.
Okay, yeah.
You gotta
No,
work
but
up to that.
That goes a long way because like when you have a partner who either has experience or is willing to learn, it goes because you don't have time for a partner that's like, I don't know how to do this. Why don't you do it? Like we don't have time.
I
will
love
say,
the churn.
See, there you go. So y'all will be all set. I will say one time we were giving Bella a bath. It was her first bath. And we covered her in a towel. And like, it's like this thing we saw on TikTok, like to keep them warm. I know your mom was in the back, like these dang kids. So we have her in the sink, in the whatever. And so so we take off the towel a little bit to scrub her.
No.
Fully diapered.
Oh, no.
Oh, I do
We forgot to
remember
take
that.
And Robert's mom was so sweet because she knew, but she didn't want to
And
touch.
she was like,
sweet.
wait, man, hold on. Let me, wait a minute, let me get in here, y'all.
So luckily y'all won't have to go through.
She was texting her friends. Like,
Like, girl.
I know, but I think
Robert
I saw Bella
going?
roll her
I
eyes.
am dead. The full not one of you picked up on it.
No, like the towel.
How did
the
that happen?
Diaper was soaked.
Jeez.
Yeah. So, but I think you guys will be fine.
Yeah.
It'll be great.
Y'all gonna be good, man.
Yeah.
Great parents.
You're probably gonna hate him in the first few months of your pregnancy.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But you'll get through it. It'll be totally fine.
It's all right, Jordan. I'm gonna be here.
Yeah, I'm gonna call you,
Set
brother.
me up, fam.
You're gonna be like, there's this pill.
Yeah.
It will change the game.
Exactly.
And in fact, we are doing a sponsorship.
Yeah, man.
At the end of this episode, you will see brought to you by.
Man, I might do it for free.
Oh my God. No, but you guys, I feel like you have changed my perspective, I will say, because like we were talking about it and I'm like, your life's gonna be over when you have kids. Like you better make sure you did everything. You went on every trip. And then when I see you guys go on trips, when I see you guys like, you're still hanging out with us, you know what I mean? And you make time and and we'll see what happens with baby too. But I will say like, even that, it just made me realize that like you guys still maintain your relationship, your friendships, and some sense of normalcy.
Yeah.
And then also like with the house, right? You guys moved to the house and then you decided maybe it's not for you and maybe you're gonna move to the city. And I'm like, okay, it makes me feel better because it just doesn't feel like it's a quick 180 where like your entire life changes. You go from like living it up in the city to 2 kids deep in the suburbs. And which there's nothing wrong with that.
Grandmas.
Yeah.
Grandmas
We're
is
really fortunate with that. Our moms take help with Bella.
Man.
In fact, his mom was watching Bella right now.
Right now. That's why
but
we're here.
I will say to your point, though, like the concerns are so valid because I remember the first days after coming home from the hospital, and I've never shared this. I was sitting up. I remember I had just fed her. It was like 2 a.m. He was knocked out. I just put her down, and I remember wondering, like, how much is within my control as far as how much my life is going to change? Because you feel the weight and the joy of how permanent parenthood is, and it can feel really daunting and really scary. And I just remember sitting there wondering, like I can't let go of my old self. Like I still want to be the multifaceted woman I am, right? Because before Bella, I was a wife, I was a girlfriend, I was a daughter, and I feel like sometimes if you choose it, it's one thing, but I feel like sometimes women feel forced into you're now just a mother.
Yeah.
And that's the only role that you have and the role that you are obligated to play all the time.
Yeah.
So
Which I mean, You're really great at that, first of all. You are. And I think you do a really good job with giving each space of your life the time that you need. And so you do block off times where you're like, okay, I'm taking Bella on a play date. Or when you guys have times, I just don't follow those boundaries. And so I call.
I was just going to say, he's looking at you like, man, I wish I got the time that Jeannette gives her.
No.
Well.
I totally get everything that is happening right now.
Yeah.
You know, and there's no bitterness. There isn't any sort of resentment or anything like that. Trust me. I resent you. No, I'm kidding. I'm joking. I'm joking.
Yeah.
You know, so I have a question for y'all. So we've had conversations, right, about family planning. And I think for me, it's a little strange in the sense of I'm not ready yet as far as I need, because my jobs are insane. So trying to run a business, help Mona with her businesses, and my job is very busy. And I don't play that. I'm not going to have kids, and I'm not going to be around. I'm not doing that. So for me, it's out of sight, out of mind. So I already know I'm like we've talked about 2 years from this month, I'm going to plan to probably either transition maybe or do something that's more chill. I have more time. Mona,
His boss is watching right now.
I know. I was like, mind your business.
But subscribe if you don't want to mind your business.
But I think Mona, she's like she said, she feels like she's gone through a transition. She's more ready now, and it's more on her mind. And I'm like, okay, so how far out should we talk about it? How far out should we test our fertility? You know, when should we start planning? Like, that's where we are now and really trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
I would time it out with when we're going to have our sex.
That's what, I mean, I legit was, so I told him yesterday, I was like 25, 6.
No, I would say one of my biggest regrets when it comes to parenthood is not finding out sooner that it was gonna take time and effort and a whole lot of money as far as the fertility treatments, because I would have planned accordingly. And I would have, I don't know, like even the house would have been different. I probably would have come back from Philly sooner, honestly.
Yeah.
So that you and I would have had more time with just you and me.
But
So-
you had to get the right job, though.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Because
maybe
if you
the-
came back to
yeah.
DC and you were miserable, we're not having.
He did not want to deal with
We're
it.
not having. No, because we wouldn't have Bella.
That's true. That's true.
You wouldn't even have gotten to that place mentally.
I would just make sure that you guys are fully aware of, as much as possible, of the options you have, how much time it's going to take, making sure you guys travel a lot, which is great. In fact, that's something Robert and I wish we had done, and we can still do now, but wish we had done more before we had Bella. But making sure that you spend a lot of time with each other, that you build a solid foundation, because a child can throw the relationship for a loop. Like, it's just really hard. I remember seeing this video on TikTok where a guy was saying, like, he misses his wife. Like, they miss each other because you now have this third person in the family who requires and deserves a lot of time.
But I feel like, and we talk about this too, is like when you're in the grind, and he works in Big Law, I'm like a full-time correspondent, and it's like when you're doing that and every minute of your day is filled with work, you want to have your life to have meaning. And so for me, it's like when I start thinking about kids, it's like when I'm like, we need to live beyond ourselves. Like, we need to, number one, I feel like we'd feel more connected, I guess. I mean, that's a false thing, but in the sense of like, we're a family, and then we like, have this cute little child that's half of us.
We're together, spend time together, and not on a computer screen.
Yeah. And it just gives like your life more meaning, and you feel like once you're at work, you feel like you're working towards something.
I will say 2 points. One, you will never find him more attractive than you do when he becomes a father.
No.
I'm gonna tell you that much. It just it shows them in a completely different light.
Yeah.
And it's very attractive.
No.
Even when you're giving them a bath with the diaper on.
Was that a me thing?
I was like, that sounds like a y'all thing.
Yeah.
The second thing I was gonna say, oh my goodness, I was gonna say a second point, but I was gonna say it does put them in a completely different light, and it's really cool to see the relationship evolve that way. The second point I was gonna say actually is, I remember when I was at work, I'm trying to think of how to frame this, and me being a mother, it just wasn't as supported in the workplace. Like, whether it was pumping, I never got any holidays off. It was like, good morning, Merry Christmas. Good morning, Happy Thanksgiving. Good morning,
Happy New Year.
It was every holiday.
The sleeves slowly changing in your dresses.
Yep.
So I just remember you start to become fiercely protective of what it means to be a mother and what your child deserves of you and from you. Yeah. And so it emboldened me to walk away because it's almost like, it's almost just like, how dare? You know what I mean? Yeah. Even with our maternity leave, like it was a fight to get the time that we deserved. And then we found out in hindsight that we actually didn't get the full time that we wanted. And so it's just like, I don't want to constantly, if I have the power to, constantly fight for time with my daughter. Yeah. And that gives you a lot of times the courage to make important life decisions. Going to your point as far as giving your life new meaning or more meaning.
No, you're right. And I think that's why we're kind of trying to figure out how I can take a year off so that I can just relax. I do believe that with our schedules, and you know how it is, it's like every day is different when you're reporting and sometimes you're traveling. And I can't imagine doing that and trying to raise a little one. I mean, many people do it, I will say. I just feel like maybe that's why we waited, right? Like that's the reason why we can wait and why we worked so hard in life is to like afford ourselves that break.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And it's going to feel so worth it. You're going to love it. Especially like little moments of, I remember when I went from being able to see Bella wake up for her nap and put her down for her nap to not being, and it's something so small. And like you said, it happens all the time. But when you have the luxury and the privilege of being there for small moments, their first words, the walk or whatever it is, it's really special.
Especially if they look like you.
Oh
my gosh.
Wouldn't know the feeling.
Right.
I was like,
Robert just...
the way people, like, I'm still recovering from having birthed her. Yeah. And they're like, were your jeans
your jeans didn't even put up a fight.
Were you in the room?
Were you even in the room? Like, it's the same comment over and over again.
So get ready for that. But
I will say when she smiles now, I know, I honestly, I don't know. But I will say, I will feel some type of way.
Girl.
If she looks completely like you.
It's so possible.
I mean, cute, but still, I would be like, where was I?
You do feel.
Somali jeans are strong though, so.
Yeah, I'm rooting for you. Yeah.
I will say when she smiles now, she looks like you.
There you go.
Yeah.
I think I got like an eyebrow.
I'm starting to see people notice her look like you, me, and your mom. Just everybody.
She's related to y'all.
Yep. There you go.
I love it. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us.
Excuse me, this is our podcast.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Thank you guys
Thank you for coming to Awf The Record.
Yeah.
Yes.
We hope to have you back. Okay.
No.
Don't be a stranger.
Don't let the door hit you in your backside.
Watch them be like, so we've started a podcast. We're going to talk about sport.
Oh, yes, sir.
Now give it to us in Spanish.
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Gracias.
Gracias.
How does he know more Spanish?
He just said, hello, how you doing? Yeah. Like he's starting the podcast.
Now in Somali.
Assalamu alaikum.
There you go. Okay. Well, thank y'all for joining us. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us.
And now get back to work.
Yeah.
For the podcast.
All right, yeah. 'Cause don't y'all have another episode to shoot?
Yeah.
All right.
Y'all got to get out of here.
Bye.
Appreciate you.
Thank you for joining us. Thank y'all for joining us. And we will see you in the next episode.
Which camera are we looking at? Is this camera on?
Oh, we live.
Boy, have you been on camera before?
All right. I was.